It's my pleasure to introduce you to the presentation that we're having today, titled Finance Transformation for Insurers. So before we get started with introductions, just a bit of housekeeping. For the Q&A session, please go to the Q&A icon on the Summit HQ app, and please get your questions in as the session progresses. So today we have 4 speakers. 2 are meant to be online, and we have 2 in the room. So I'll start off with Victoria. So we have four speakers today: Victoria Xu, Alfie Chang, and we have Michael Wong and Roger Chan. So Michael is in Japan, and Roger is in Hong Kong. So they'll be joining us online pretty shortly. Victoria heads up the Australia and New Zealand business. She has over 15 years' experience in the life insurance industry, both in Australia and overseas. Her areas of expertise includes life insurance, valuations, and financial reporting. Alfie is a senior consultant and has over 8 years' experience in the life insurance industry, also in Australia and overseas. Her areas of expertise is in strategic consulting, actuarial valuations, and pricing. Roger is the APAC Regional Technology Engagement Leader. He has extensive experience in end-to-end business process automation and transformation, ALM implementation, and insurance software development in Asia Pacific and Europe. And Michael leads the regional business excellence proposition in APAC, mainly supporting APAC insurers in financial reporting transformation. He has been involved in leading several actuarial software and process automation implementations for life insurance in Japan. And all our speakers are from Willis Towers Watson. So with that, I'll hand you over to Victoria.
Thank you, Jayesh. Okay, let's hope that technology works. Okay, it's always a really difficult act to the after lunch session. So I am going to start the session with a bit of a poll to liven things up. So if you could go to your apps and go to the live polling section. So we'd like to find out, what does finance transformation mean to you? You can choose the top 3 phrases from the options available. Before the session, I was making a bit of a joke to my fellow presenters that the words on the page are very positive. And it's an unfortunate fact that we don't, have word cloud or word polling available. But, the human brain is geared to remember negative experiences, much more so than positive ones. And if I had a choice, the words that probably come to my mind would be things like black box, suffering, a bit of ineffectiveness. But, it's a different experience. I've been through many of these transformation projects, and the things that we take out quite often are negative emotions, but we lose sight of the fact that there are many, many positive outcomes that come out from these programs. And hopefully everyone's had a bit of a chance to go through the poll, and let's have a look at results. Let's hope IT works. No? No polling results? Okay. And hence we need more technology and more automation to make sure that we are able to get the results that we want in the timing that we want, and more accurately and faster than expected. Then I might move on to the next slide, which are the key challenges faced by insurers that drive some of the, needs for finance transformation. Insurers are facing a lot of different pressures and challenges in their finance reporting process, whether it's increase in reporting requirements due to IFRS 17, or reporting in different bases from overseas parents, increase in regulatory requirements, increase in a need for risk management, for governance, and a pressure to reduce costs. All these equate to producing a greater number of business insights, better, faster, more accurately, and with the same amount of people resourcing. You combine this with the fact that insurers often have complex IT environments consisting of multiple systems and data sources that need lots of manual effort to extract insights for business decision-making. It's not surprising that insurers have looked to automation to resolve some of their reporting pressures. Most insurers and their staff and numerous surveys have cited systems and process inefficiencies as the key challenge to reporting processes and what they would look to automation to overcome. In a bid to improve efficiency and productivity, I will now hand over the mic to Alfie to talk about a global market survey that we have conducted and some of the key results and trends from that.
Okay, thanks, Victoria. So just like what Victoria highlighted earlier, so insurers are facing a wave of challenges, such as regulatory pressures, rising costs, and the need for deeper business insights. So these challenges are pushing insurers to enhance their current business process. Then the question is more about how do they achieve it? So one of the go-to solutions, as shown on the slides, is automation. So it's become a critical tool for more and more insurers to lift their capabilities significantly. So now, let's dive into some insights from a global automation survey we conducted. We reached out to 100 life and P&C insurers worldwide, asking them to evaluate their current use of automation and their ambitions for the future. So in the survey, there are 37 questions covering most of the critical functional areas in valuation and the reserving process. We asked the participants to rank where they are to where they want to be in the future for each of the functional areas, from no automation at all to intelligent automation. And we score them from 0% to 100%. So what did we find out? Let's start with life insurance. So the overall current automation score for life insurance is 21.5%. Hopefully it's not surprising. So this basically tells us, on average, most of the life insurers only scratched the surface of automation. Although we do have many life insurers stated that they had to use some form of automation, mainly around their data process and model execution. However, they definitely need more automation, especially for the pre- and post-heavy model runs. So why is it? This is mainly due to the increase in reporting demands. As a result, life insurers are looking to perform either more runs within a similar timelines, or trying to reduce the number of wasted runs. So to achieve this, they need to be as efficient as possible, mainly around assumption preparation, results production, and audit pack creation. That's for life insurance. Now let's move to P&C insurance. So the scores here are pretty similar to those in life insurance, with top existing focus aligning closely as well. But there is a twist. Compared with life insurance, most P&C insurers mentioned that these days, senior management team is now highly engaged or become more engaged in the reserving process. So more senior managers tend to provide their view, their feedback, or sometimes even challenge the results through their attendance at a reserving committee. This definitely creates a very strong push to provide the management team some informative and easy-to-read results. And more importantly, all these results need to be produced in a very quick turnaround. So therefore, insurers are looking for the ability to produce the first cut of results faster. At the same time, incorporating the latest data updates, some manual adjustments, for example, for judgment calls, into the reserve estimates. And more importantly, these changes need to be properly documented and governed for future review. So I guess that's a very quick summary for our survey. So from the survey, it's pretty clear that most of the insurers have more or less started their automation journey. And there is a greater appreciation of the value that automation can bring to the business in the future. So the next question is really about how should insurance company approach their future ambitions? That is exactly what we're going to address in our next section. So let me now hand over the stage to Roger, who has been waiting online for quite a while, who will share with us some critical factors to be kept in mind for building a successful transformation program. So over to you.
Thank you, Victoria and Effie, for setting the scene for the growing needs of financial transformation programs. And I guess building a transformation program is never a small task. It is very important we set out in the right direction. So in the next 10 minutes, I would like to discuss some of the key considerations when designing and building a transformation solution. And obviously, there are a lot I would like to share, but time is quite limited today, so I'll try to give you a quick overview. And I guess we can discuss more in some of the tea breaks and I guess dinner as well. Next slide, please. I can't quite see the screen, so which we're not allowed. Just continue. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So from our experience working with a lot of insurance companies around the world, we have observed three very important ingredients in almost all of the successful transformation program. And these are the three items I'm showing here: the process, the people, the technology. So all of them need to work together hand in hand, just like the three-way Tai Chi diagram we are showing here. And of course, financial transformation is not just about the technology and selecting the right automation tool. We need to consider all possibilities of selecting which process we should automate first and whether any re-engineering is required. And the team, the people, is also a very important factor. So they need to stay engaged throughout the transformation program, and because it's designed to support them in doing more, cheaper, faster, and better. So, and maybe I'll go into a little bit more detail on the three elements here. If we start with the process, there are, again, I've listed quite a lot of points there, but I'll pick on two of them. If you can move on just one click. Yeah. So it's very naturally we usually start tackling the problem starting from the we are developing a solution outcome and then work backwards. So it's very important to start with a right to left mindset. So focusing on what is needed and then what are the dependency, so that we will only spend time and effort on the items that we need to develop. And also the other one is we may not have to transform the entire process in a big bang approach. In fact, quite typically we will select pockets of different process to start with, usually those low-hanging fruit with higher return. And as we automate or transform these processes, we will start to release some of our team to develop further automation transformation. And people, on the people side, I think the ultimate goal of the transformation program is to support our team to strike a right balance of a resource deployment, putting the right person to the right task. And it should be, I guess, a guiding principle to have a well-communicated plan. The key message often would be the automation and transformation is to eliminate work, but not the job and the people. So it's to help them improve their productivity. So this is a very important factors. And lastly, technology. So obviously there are many, many different type of software solution available in the market. Um, we have a slide later to discuss some of the key directions, but I think again the overarching principle is to make sure the solution we are choosing is future proof, is scalable. So as our business grows, we can scale up easily rather than having to rebuild everything. So these are two very important attributes. So there are more on the slides you can see, and maybe during the tea breaks we can discuss more with Alfie and Victoria on the ground. So these are some of the key elements, and maybe I'll give some examples and when we are not striking the right balance of these three elements. So for example, we've seen some situation where people are not taking full advantage of the latest technology. So sometimes people are still using the screen scraping method rather than connecting to API, letting software to talk to each other. On the process side, sometimes we see people are just shifting the existing process to a new platform, a new solution, kind of like just replacing the scheme, new tool, but same steps as before, not really getting the process re-engineering benefits. And on people, again, for me, this is the more important element. Is sometimes we see the transformation team did not weigh in the buy-in from the working level team, and quite often we see a poor adoption rate. People resorting back to the original way, so kind of having a new toy there, but you never use it. So these are some of the example of why we need to kind of balance all of them together. Now, if we move on to the next slide, so let's say we've decided to start building a solution. There are, just like any other project, there are always a lot of competing targets and constraints. And it's very important we set up a clear strategic framework from the outset. And of course, there are many different ways of setting those goals, but today I'm going to discuss three of them in the triangle. The first one I will highlight is the quality of the solution. So things like the accuracy of the results, the timeliness of the information, whether we can produce some additional management information that our existing process or manual process does not provide. Control. Another key attribute is things like how we handle errors. Quite often we see people building a solution that only cater for the happy case, but not dealing with some of the unexpected situation automatically. How we manage the handover between the different teams or maybe even different software and systems. How we ensure the consistency of the process. How we can repeat them and remove some of the key person dependency, for example. This could be some of the control kind of attributes. And lastly, of course, very importantly, is the cost. We want to look at the efficiency of the team, the productivity, whether we can leverage some parallel activities as much as possible. Economies of scale. Quite often people will set up what we call a center of excellence. So kind of a grouping all the experts in the team. It could be a virtual team scattering in different locations, but those are the people who will develop and maintain the process, separating them from the production user. So of course, every company's vision, challenges, and constraints can be quite different. So there isn't a golden rule of where you should strike the equilibrium. So it's very important that we find the right balance that suits your own organization. That's the first thing you may want to do, understanding what you want to achieve, and then you can kind of assess some of these priorities or criteria that you have set. Over the three sets of criteria, which one are more important than the other, setting the priority. And we can check on how we will measure all these criteria, whether there's an objective and tangible measure. And lastly, how we will communicate and justify some of these the criteria. So these are some of the driving principle when we are starting off. And if we move to the next slide, there are a lot of items here, but these are some of the success criteria we have seen from the market where different companies are setting off. And yeah, we are not going to go into depth in this slide today, but again, talk to Victoria and Elfie, and then we can share more in different areas. Let's move on to the next slide. So once we have set our goals, then we need to start planning for the development, and there are many kind of directional consideration. And today I'm going to discuss two of them. The first one is whether we should adopt an end-to-end automation or just a task automation. And the other one would be whether we should buy a solution or build a solution. So I'm going to talk about these two a little bit, starting with the first one on the left. Maybe I should just define what end-to-end or E2E here and also task automation mean. I think task automation, we would define that as a specific fix to a specific need or problem. So things like automation, a particular task such as data processing, ETL, maybe a spreadsheet calculation, maybe a reporting. So focusing on specific tasks. And end-to-end is more about how we bring all these together, kind of to give user a more seamless experience. At the same time, giving them more control and governance over the entire business process. And if we show the list of some of the consideration, there are obviously many obvious ones. So the scale of our project, how many systems, tools, teams we need to connect. But maybe I will point out the last one first. So sometimes when we are deciding whether we should build an entire process or just focus is whether it's important to maintain a data lineage and auditability. Because when you have a lot of localized automated solution, it's very difficult to trace back to understand the dependency and also to give confidence to the management. So this is sometimes a key consideration. And when we do end-to-end, of course, is how far, which end to which end. This is another consideration. Another one I maybe quickly highlight is whether we want to take a quick win or to achieve overall efficiency. So sometimes, again, we may start with certain pockets of the process, and then eventually we can slowly linking them up. So quick win versus overall efficiency is another consideration. On the buy versus build side, I think I'll go through a bit quicker. Some of the things like whether you have the resource, whether you have enough time to build a solution, or sometimes you need something very quickly. After 17, a lot of clients leave it quite late to think about the transformation solution. Buying would be an easier option. How standard is your solution, whether you want to take control of the software development. If you do in-house, and you can do control what you want to develop first. Whether you want to leverage the industry experience and market practice. When you're developing yourself, you only know what you know. It will be very difficult to leverage the other people's lesson learned. Okay, I actually have one more slide, but maybe I'll just go through very quickly. Originally, I was going to talk a little bit about the implementation approach, but one key message I want to highlight here before I pass to Michael is that it's very important to have a mixed team between the transformation team and the working production team. And as you can see, the transformation team or the experts can slowly phase out and eventually go into a maintenance mode. So this way we can ensure the best knowledge transfer and best buy-in and making sure the users' needs are handled. So hopefully the quick rush through give you some idea of what kind of a consideration areas to explore if you are embarking on a transformation program. So next I'm going to pass to Michael, my colleague, to maybe share one case study on an implementation project. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Roger. So Roger walked us through some of the criteria and also ingredients for a successful finance transformation. Now in this session, I'd like to share a transformation journey by an UK insurer that we have supported. Now I'll be mainly focusing on some of the steps taken by the insurer before leading up to the implementation, such as how did the insurers identify the challenges? How did they set up their objective? How did they define their project setups? I think these are some of the very, very crucial steps in leading to a very successful finance transformation. Next slide, please. So back in 2021, Aegon UK, the insurer, found themselves in front of a very challenging task. Because of Brexit, they needed to deal with dual reporting, meaning they need to prepare for their local reporting and also reporting requirement for their group office. Now, on top of this, there's a looming implementation of IFRS 17, adding another layer of pressure. Now, I do hope these challenges sound very, very familiar to you all. Now, unfortunately, I can't see all your faces. I'm hoping someone in the crowd is nodding your head. Yeah, IFRS 17, capital reporting, all these challenges. So you're not alone. I think a lot of the insurers are facing these challenges. Now, for the insurers, they are finding it really hard to deal with this additional workload, mainly because their existing process was very, very manual with lots of Excel. Now, it became very evident to them that merely duplicating the effort was not a viable solution. Like many of us, resource is limited. So recognizing the need for change, they embark on a journey to find a little bit more suitable or efficient solution. Next slide, please. So the top priority for the insurers is to be able to perform their routine, financial reporting more confidently. They also wanted the process to allow them to handle capital sensitivities and forecast more efficiently, such that they could perform more insightful analysis, and finally improve process and control, minimizing some of the error-prone activities, ensuring greater precision, while maintaining cost effectiveness. So next slide, please. Now, the next slide is about defining vision. In my opinion, this is one of the important steps that a lot of people might have missed. Now, a transformation without a well-thought or well-defined vision could potentially see some misalignment between the people, the process, and technology, which could lead to a very costly solution. So with the insurers, we work with them in going through all these three components, which I think Roger has just touched on: the people, the process, and technology. Now with people, next please. The team wanted to make sure that the team member be able to maintain and manage the new system. So meaning upskilling through the training was crucial. Now the stakeholder also wanted to cultivate a culture of focusing on value-added activities rather than just country numbers. Next, please. So with processes, making sure the processes are efficient, easy to maintain, and well documented. Now, standardizing processes and what sort of reporting format, allowing the solution to be more scalable was also crucial for them as well. Now, coming into the technology, they wanted to limit the use of Excel in the production environment. Now, at times, I know Excel is very, sometimes very user-friendly, but we have seen some clients just over-relying on some of the Excel usage on areas where other tools could be more suitable. And finding the solutions where the team could make change more efficiently and in a controlled manner is crucial. And finally, making sure the new system isn't a black box solution. So I like to actually use cooking when I'm kind of describing transformation. Just for example, I'm just cooking a roast chicken. Now we have setting up the objective. It's almost like knowing what you want to cook. Setting up this vision is knowing how you want to cook. So the next step, next slide, please. This project setup. I think this is the process where we're getting all the ingredients ready before we start on the cooking. Now, just like cooking, for the roast chicken, for a very, very yummy roast chicken, you won't just take the chicken out and stick it right into the oven. You need all the ingredients ready. Your chicken needs to be defrosted or seasoned up, with melted butter, and you have to preheat the oven before moving into the cooking. Very similarly for transformation, the project setup is also another very, very crucial step that you really need to rethink through. Now, coming back to this three triangle, the people, the process, and technology. Next, please. Looking at people, when we first started out with the insurers, we wanted the team to have the buy-in from the team. Now, we did this through proof of value. We did a few show and tell cases with them. We did some of the training. We did spend some time to help develop the solution design report with them. And also we kind of phased through that implementation rather than having a full, taking 1 or 2 years to build that solution. We phased it out so that the team can get some of the benefit in the early stage. And then finally, with the people here, right in the bottom here, where the development team was a joint team. We started off with the consulting, doing maybe 80% of the work, but we gradually kind of phased out. In the middle, it was 50-50. And right now, I think the insurance is doing most of the implementation while we are supporting them with just some of the design review. Next, please. So in process, we did not just automate all the current existing processes. Like I said, there were tons of Excel. I think there was over 100 over Excel spreadsheet. So automating hundreds of spreadsheet wasn't the right path to go with. We want to find the right tool for the right process. And then we move from the right to left. Now, one of the key benefits of moving to right to left, if you can see what the outcome is, and then once you know what the outcome is, you can build that solution to fit that outcome. If I would have started somewhere from the left, a lot of times we could end up spending a lot of time building something that might not necessarily be needed in the end. So finally, once you have the people, the process all thought out and well-defined, I think the technology should be quite straightforward. You're just looking for that right technology that meet all these criteria. Okay, next. So once I think because of the objective and vision, and also the project setup was all well-defined, I think the implementation process went quite smoothly. They were quite happy with the outcome of what they're seeing. Now, these challenges on the left-hand side, like whether they were facing dual reporting, they would have lack of resource, complex processes. After the implementation, next slide, please. Oh, sorry, next, please. What the outcome is, they were able to report, the dual reporting quite efficiently and within the timeline. There was less manual work, meaning I think we limited the usage to about 10-ish Excel files, and that limiting that manual effort, I think, led to a more reduced error. The team was able to focus more on value-added activities. It wasn't a black box solution to them because they were able to manage and understand each of the steps of the process. They were able to make timely changes in a very controlled way. And the process, like I said, it wasn't just moving from that 100 Excel spreadsheet into automation. A lot of times we standardize, we streamline standard process so that it can be easily scalable to some of the reporting that they would like to do, such as IFRS 17. Now, in the end, I think it was very improved employee engagement after the implementation. And I would have to say, I think it was very pleased from the Chief Actuary and CFO as well. Okay, thank you. I think this is the case study I've shared. I'd like to pass it back on to Victoria.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I will quickly recap the key takeaway points of our presentation. The transformation and automation trend is inevitable. And it's not about reducing resource, but about increasing productivity and freeing up existing capacity to perform the roles which we have been trained to do. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's a fine balance between the different needs of different stakeholders, people, process, and technology. People are the key to a successful transformation. And as Michael has put, it's a journey. Finance transformation is a journey where we have to develop where we think the end goal is, and where we are and how we are going to achieve to that end goal, and let the journey begin.
Thanks for that presentation. I think it was really interesting. There's been a few questions that have come through, so I'll just run through them. I'll probably pose it to the team, and then we can just decide who wants to answer it. So I think in the presentation there was a mention that streamlining is critical start to the automation process. So how do you see actuaries playing an important role in this part of the process? And is there any advice on potential setbacks or mind traps that actuaries may perhaps fall into?
That's a very good question. Maybe I'll make a start and I'll see whether Michael wants to chip in a bit. So I think, first of all, when we automate in some of the actual process, actuarial team is the ultimate end user. So, and they also understand the problem the best. So their inputs is the most important for the projects, I think. And in terms of mind track, what we have seen sometimes is people maybe too in love with their old solution and fail to kind of have an open mind to look at a wide variety of new options before deciding on a solution. And one example I've kind of touched on is the use of screen scraping approach. Basically, just having a script to mimic a human being clicking and moving mouses on behalf of the user, rather than looking at different way and maybe cutting some of the middle processes. So yeah, have an open mind, work with our colleagues in the IT world more, and see what we can get. I don't know whether Michael want to chip in anything.
Yeah, just 2 points to make. First point is finding the right tool for the right process. And a lot of times the actuary might only be familiar some of the around some of the tools that they use, like for example, Excel or Access. But whereas there's quite a lot of new tools in the market that may be suited for some of the processes. Second point is when looking at streamlining some of the process, a lot of times people say, oh, we should do end-to-end, everything in one go. But at times, sometimes we need to look at whether we need some in between intermediate review processes to allow some flexibility for the reviewer to take a look at the intermediate results, to make some adjustment if needed. And if the number doesn't look good, have a way to kind of restart or jump one step behind and redo some of the steps. So in looking at automation, the process, it's not always just a straight line one-to-one. I think there's in times you need to think about what if something goes wrong? What can I do? Where should I put in these review processes so that it can help that journey, that process be a lot more robust?
Thanks, Michael. Next question is probably two questions in one. So what is the ideal target state for teams post an automation transformation? And what do you, in your opinion, what role would you think actuaries play in a very automated environment?
Okay, let me try again. Maybe I'll answer the second question first. What role actuarial team can play in the automated world? I think, if I can be blunt, then we can go back to what we are trained to do, what we are supposed to do. All the analytical judgment, how we can add more insights to the business, rather than a lot of production, technical, manual work that many of us seem to get too comfortable with over time. Jayesh, can you repeat the first question?
Maybe I'll take
Sure.
the
Okay,
first question.
Victoria, thank you.
I guess just to follow up from what Roger has said, really, to me, in my words, would be the role of the actuary would be to answer two questions. It's to look at the business insights that has been produced and to answer the question of so what? And then after that, it is what then? Right? And the ideal state after going through a finance transformation process is so to free us up to be able to answer these questions and produce better insights for the business. And we're not bogged down in processes and thinking about, oh, has something gone wrong on the way to produce these results? Are the results right? That's not the question that we're here to solve and what we've been trained to do, but really, how can we move on and what can we glean from these results and what's next for the business to enable us to be more efficient and to be better at serving customer needs.
Yeah, thanks. There's another question coming through. So life insurers have traditionally been or have really poor track record on getting IT projects up and running, and whether it's a policy admin system or a finance system. So given your experience, any thoughts on where are companies going wrong with these transformations that are taking place?
I think this is a little bit like the first question, where what are the traps and the pitfalls, and as Roger's mentioned, it's when you think about transforming a process or looking at process and how we can improve, it's not about moving our process from one system to another system and not changing it, which is quite often what we end up with. You change the process and you're like, oh no, we must have this step and we must do this step. And importing the entire process into a new system, and you end up with exactly the same problems that you had before you started the entire transformation process. So it's really about taking a step back and having a look at the end-to-end process and what we can do to change it, what we can automate to remove some of the inefficiencies there are, and just to generally reduce overall manual input as well. And maybe Roger and Michael can add to that.
Roger, Michael?
Michael, do you want to go first?
It's all right.
Yeah, I think one of the pitfalls that we're seeing that I think I mentioned is the people. A lot of times when people looking for transformation, they immediately look at the technology, but they're always focusing about the people who then are the user of that technology, how they can really understand that solution or how to use it at the best of their efforts. So I think upskilling team or getting that buy-in always key to a very successful transformation journey.
Maybe what I can add is also to echo what Michael mentioned is it's a continuous journey. So we don't have to aim to get everything done, as I said, in a big bang approach. We start small, we take in the user feedback, and then we adjust, refine. And I guess another way, obviously there are many different reasons why a project didn't go the perfect way, but maybe another, hopefully it's not too biased view, is that maybe actuaries are less accustomed to the more tightly planning approach that the IT world would do. So I think a middle ground would be a more agile approach, project management approach, and try to get feedback as we go, rather than it's kind of like a middle house between the full waterfall planning to the just do it Excel modeling approach.
Well, I think we've run out of time, so I won't have any time for more questions, but please join me in thanking the panel and the team for their presentation.
And thank you, Jayesh.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a lovely day.